Welcome to UCF Knightline, your source for UCF sports and former player information.
Hello, Night Nation. This is Andrew Phegley coming to you from the 1148 studios, and with me, as always,
Trace Trylko. Hello, everyone.
And
I'm the intern, Jason Beatty.
All right, there
He's
you
back.
go.
Jason, the intern, is back, and he, like us, is bowled over.
Yeah, well, we got all kinds of bowl news. There's definitely bowl news today.
Bowlando news.
Bowlando, yeah.
Bowlando.
That's interesting that they would use that as the hashtag, but whatever. It's all good. Bowlando, I guess it is. So
Saturday, December 17th, at the Cure Bowl in Orlando against Arkansas State Sunbelt champs.
yeah, it's all good. We'll have to learn a little bit more about Arkansas State, of course, as we go, but we will do that. Other news, real quick, Scott Frost saying that he is not a candidate for the Oregon job, which if you saw our new thing, Knightline Now, you would have heard me that I had a take that he needed to come out immediately and say that he was not going to Oregon.
And he heard that, and he responded within 24 hours.
Or that he was not
great.
a candidate. Yes,
Yeah.
and he did respond. I'm going to play that clip really quick here to get it out of the way.
I'm not a candidate for Oregon. I'm happy right here. This is where I want to be. I started something here. I feel like we've taken a lot of steps to getting this program to the top of this league, and I want to see that through here. So I'm really happy here, and I have no intention of leaving here anytime soon. You go out and you recruit kids to come play for you, and you agree to try to do something for a program. When you give your word to kids and to people like that, I think it's your responsibility to see those things through. That doesn't mean circumstances can't ever change, but I'm committed to this place. My wife loves it here. I love it here. We're happy in Orlando, and I really like where we're going with this program. So the minute I'm done with this press conference, I'm going to go out and recruit for UCF.
There it is right there. That was the thing that I was concerned about the most. I was concerned about the recruiting aspect of this whole thing. That was what I was like, I wasn't really upset. People heard that and they're like, "Oh, you were mad." I wasn't mad. I just wanted, it's just such a important time right now in recruiting, and I just think that this whole, I don't know if they call it silly season as they do in like NASCAR and stuff like that, but it's a silly season when people are, trying to get jobs and coaches are getting fired and all this stuff, and it really can hurt the recruiting. So I'm glad that he said that. So our recruits know that he's going to be here, and we can continue this recruiting class that will be pretty amazing, I think. So
Agree with you. I thought it was a strong take, especially for the debut of Knightline Now, which is going to be short takes that we give in between weekly podcasts. And I thought you fired everybody up with a pretty good riff there for a couple of minutes preceding this announcement. But let's face facts. Scott Frost was not a candidate for the Oregon job. If Scott Frost was a candidate for the Oregon job, Scott Frost would have interviewed for that job, and I don't think we can begrudge him of that. If someone offers him millions more than he's being offered at UCF, he owes it to himself and his wife, who enjoys Florida and can come back and visit, to interview for that job. So I'm glad Scott Frost is here. I'm glad he's hitting the recruiting trail, but Scott Frost was not a viable candidate for that job at this time.
I think it was just the media really just poking the hornet's nest there, because obviously he's from Oregon, so they had to put him there just because to, stir the bowl a little bit. Or stir the pot, per se. But I think I'm going to have to agree with you. He definitely was not a candidate, a legitimate candidate. But, I think he's here to stay, and he believes in the system, and the system believes in him. And I think it's, like Andrew was saying, the recruits want to see a head coach stay for a few years and hopefully build something great. And I think he really believes in this.
Continuity, again, goes from 0-12 last year to 6-6 in his first season, landing a bowl, and we attended that Cure Bowl press announcement in which they announced that UCF is going to be in that game against Arkansas State. So it's another home game for folks that live in Central Florida and across the state of Florida.
Yeah, and we've talked about this the last couple of weeks. We talked about, if they were going to be in this Cure Bowl, and I think, the perfect storm or whatever happened to get that to be, done, and it's done, and I think it's a wonderful thing. Also, this week, people have been talking, there's a little bit of chatter, I guess it was leaked somehow, that they may take the 7th home game that we were supposed to have for next year and make that at the Citrus Bowl.
Camping World Stadium.
Whatever. Yeah, it'll still be the Citrus Bowl to me.
I agree with you.
It could go through 15 name changes. It's gone through a few.
And I don't know,
so.
there's some chatter on the message boards about that, but the larger audience of folks that listen to us all across the country may not be aware. We do, in fact, have 7 home games now. We do not have a 6-6 split. But that talk, as you mentioned, of one of those games, perhaps a conference game at that, moving over there, I don't agree with that, because I think that's why we built the stadium on campus, to bring the alums back, to have the student participation in the game, and the whole game day environment that they worked so hard to create this year. Pre-game concerts, the inflatables, all the activities, everything that they've got going. Memory Mall, all of these things that they've been building tradition in the 10th year of the stadium, and then they're going to sell off a home game to
supposedly
the
for $1 million too.
Yeah, but
that's the thing, and then people are like, "Oh, we'll take the $1 million." People, it's not all about taking money whenever you can get it. It's not about whoring yourself out. Excuse the language, but it's not about doing that. It's not just about money. Everybody's like, "Oh, well, where are we getting the money for this? Where are we getting the money for that?" Let me tell you something. UCF is not a poor institution with 50,000 students. Absolutely not. Not a poor institution, and I think that's crazy to say.
They don't have as much money as you think, though.
I think they have more money than most people think. I really do, because Scott Frost was not a problem. Hiring Scott Frost, hiring Johnny Dawkins wasn't a problem. When we were talking about all that stuff, everybody's like, "Oh, where's the money going to come from? Where's the money come?" The money shows up when we need the money. So it's not about the money, and I think that the whole Citrus Bowl thing, it's great for the Cure Bowl, but bad idea for the rest of it.
I think we have enough money to keep it another home game. I mean, I can tell you right now, college students, the UCF students, most of them, probably a fair amount will go to the game if it is indeed at the Citrus Bowl or the Camping World Stadium. But I can tell you for a fact, as it is right now, it's tough enough to get college students from Memory Mall to Bright House right there. And that's like a 5-minute walk, and I don't see a lot of students driving off campus down to Camping World as much as they would like it to be.
I was telling Andrew on the drive down for that Cure Bowl press announcement, I remember being at a game at the Citrus Bowl, and the student attendance number for that game was 750 students. So, they're putting 8,000 to 12,000 in our home stadium on campus.
Yeah.
Students, as you say very well, they can't get them from Memory Mall. They can't get 50,000, 60,000 students into the stadium. They're suddenly going to get them down to...
I don't see that happening.
When we started this, did we say what the rest of the show was going to be about? Or did we just start talking? I can't remember.
We just started talking. You mean that you have a great interview with Smokin' Joe Burnett?
I just thought of that. I was like, wow, we didn't really talk. Yes, Joe Burnett, and then we have a guy that's been with us on the Knightline podcast that hasn't been here for a while. John Swift will be here
Crunching
to talk
the numbers.
about stats from between this year and last year, and he always finds some interesting stuff. So anyway, wanted to get that out of the way because I
by the way,
we
stick
didn't.
with us, Joe Burnett.
Other news, of course, Shaquem Griffin, Defensive Player of the Year for the American. That's absolutely 110% awesome.
One of the best stories in college football.
The best story as far as I'm concerned. So that is really cool. Shaquille Griffin, the All-American second team, or the Americans' second team, I guess.
I like All-American, though.
And then Jemias Pittman also earned the American second team, and Trylko Johnson earned an honorable mention All-Conference.
Congratulations to them. Well
deserved. Absolutely awesome for those guys. So.
And it'll be good in future years to see some offensive players.
Yeah, and it'll happen. But, John Swift later on talks about how many times we have had the Conference Player of the Year, and it's been more than you might think. It's interesting, for sure.
Well, we're going to delve more in the days ahead, especially with Knightline Now, where we do these quick little segments that may appear during the week into Arkansas State and get to know the Red Wolves. They started out 0-4, and they won 7 of their last 8 games. They had a stretch there with 6 straight wins to once again win the Sun Belt. So don't laugh on the Sun Belt, but you'd like to think that it presents itself as a favorable matchup for UCF. Quick look at the stats, by the way, on Arkansas State. 102nd rushing offense, 53rd passing offense, 79th overall, and defensively 49th against the run, 56th against the pass, 42nd overall. But again,
it is Sun Belt competition.
Yeah, with a different level of competition. And I know our folks will be looking them up, but they opened with a home game against the Max Toledo and lost 31-10. They went to Auburn, lost 51-14. What was that?
It was the same score as the Michigan game.
That's
when we went up to Michigan.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Lost at Utah State 34-20. This one sounds like a horrible. I'll have to look. Jason, can you look up Central Arkansas? Central Arkansas is like a 1AA, right?
Probably, yeah.
They lost to them 28-23.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Then they won. Then this was when the winning started, when they went into conference play. 27-26 over Georgia Southern, 17-7 over South Alabama, 51-10 over Louisiana Monroe, 31-16 over Georgia State, 41-22 over New Mexico State, 35-3 over Troy. Then they lost 24-19 to Louisiana Lafayette, and then Saturday night flipped back and forth between all of the great college football and saw that they beat Texas State 36-14. So they recovered their season, but they started off very dismally.
Yeah. Well,
what was your question about
Central Arkansas? That sounds like
they're Division
1AA though, right? Like
Southland Conference.
Yeah. See, that's
like they're in the Southland Conference.
The absolute lowest.
Yeah. So you can't lose to them, and that was a home game.
Wow.
That they lost.
Huh, that's interesting.
To them. So they rallied their season enough to win the Sun Belt, but when you look at the rankings, the Sun Belt traditionally will rank 10th or 11th out of 11 conferences, and on the RPI, it's the American that's now up to 5th overall strength ahead of the Big 12.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So just on a sheer matchup, you would think UCF with a de facto home game and an opponent from a less strong conference, it should favor UCF. And what I hope favors UCF is that rest period that they've had now leading up to this, and that when we talked with Kyle Israel and he was saying that these players are kind of tired, especially the freshmen, I hope that this, for Mackenzie Milton and our other freshmen that have seen significant playing time, that this couple of weeks of rest, not that they won't have practice, obviously they're going to get those added practices, which are a big advantage, but that will help UCF have very strong footing on December 17th.
Absolutely, yeah. I just think that it's a perfect match for a bowl game. We've talked about how cool it's going to be to have it there. It's going to be like a home game. There's going to be tailgating and all that stuff.
You never saw UCF there, right?
I've never seen them there. No, I came much later in the mix than to see them ever play there.
Long time home.
It'll be fun.
Long time home for UCF.
It's going to be like a home game. I mean, they're just going to sell the lower bowl, which, unless
demand was so high that they needed to open upper decks.
Let's see what Orlando can do. Let's see Orlando come out and try to, fill that thing. They did it with soccer. Fill the bowl. Well, let's fill the whole freaking thing and do it. This is a great test if they want to move one of the home games there. It's a great test to see what happens.
Bowlando,
If it doesn't work out for the bowl game, it's sure not going to work out for a conference game. I can tell you that.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So that's one of those Andrew Phegley quick takes that you can hear on Knightline now.
Absolutely, you can
and hear on the Knightline.
Yeah, I'm going to really start to try to do those when I'm upset about something. It might be entertaining because I really try.
I favor this because when he's upset, I start getting text messages and instant messages. So.
I really try to not do that on here, get too emotionally involved. Anyway, what else?
Scott Frost reacting to the bowl game. We haven't heard from him yet, have we?
Let's hear that.
We're thrilled to be in a bowl game. Guys have done a lot to earn a chance to play in the postseason. I think it's wonderful that we get to play right here in the great city of Orlando, in the stadium that UCF played at for a number of years. I think it's going to give us an opportunity to have a lot of UCF fans from the university and from the city to get another chance to see us play. I think it's going to make travel and logistics easy for our football team, and can't wait to give our seniors another chance to play football.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing the seniors and all of our talented freshmen out there against Arkansas State. Again, that's December 17th at Camping World Stadium, formerly the Citrus Bowl, 5:30. For those of Knight Nation that are listening across the country, and we have fans all over the place and listeners, It'll be on the CBS Sports Network, one, as Jason pointed out, one of the only few bowls that is not on the ESPN family of networks. So I'm interested in hearing what John Swift, who breaks down the numbers for us in the Crunching the Numbers segment, has to say about these 12 games that we've seen where UCF's gone 6-6.
Welcome to Crunching the Numbers, featuring John Swift.
Hello, Knight fans. This is John Swift with a recap of the 2016 season statistics for our UCF Knights. We have to start on the defensive side of the ball, of course. They looked awesome all season long, and how can you not talk about Shaquem Griffin and the season he had? 11 sacks, 19 tackles for loss, 3 QB hurries, an interception, 3 pass breakups, and 2 forced fumbles. He was announced the American Athletic Conference Defensive Player of the Year. Congratulations to him. The last time a Knight did that was in 2014 with Jacoby Glenn. That makes UCF have more Defensive Players of the Year than any other school in the American Conference. Prior to that, with Conference USA, Kamal Ishmael in 2012 was the Defensive Player of the Year, and Bruce Miller twice in 2010 and 2009. That gives UCF the Defensive Player of the Year in the conference we played in 5 of the last 8 years, and I really think that goes to show you the type of players that George O'Leary recruited and put in the system and the defensive prowess that we extend into the Frost era. As a team, UCF had 36 sacks on the season, 92 tackles for a loss. We forced 15 interceptions. Shaquille Griffin with 4, DJ Killings 3, TJ Mutcherson and Trylko Johnson added 2 each. Our defense really showed up when it mattered and kept us in games. UCF was number 4 in the nation in red zone defense. We're number 3 in the nation in third down defense efficiency. So congratulations, a lot of hard work on that side of the ball. Looked really good, but beware because next year we lose our back 7 players, our total secondary, and 3 of our 4 linebackers. So it'll be interesting to see how that unit regroups. Now let's turn our attention to the offense. A lot of young guns on that side of the ball. The only seniors were Jordan Ray at center, and then Taylor Oldham, Dontravius Wilson were both seniors, but were kind of split starters. So we really only lose 1 true starter and then 2 guys that had meaningful contributions. UCF averaged 30 points per game, which was a pretty respectable amount compared to the season prior. Mackenzie Milton led the offense in passing with 1,808 yards. One of the interesting things that I think any Knight fan noticed was he ran backwards a lot and got sacked for large losses. Interesting enough, Milton gained 397 yards, but he lost 244 from being tackled in the backfield. Another interesting note about Mackenzie Milton, he's actually finished the regular season 0.2% higher in completion percentage than former UCF great Dante Culpepper during his freshman campaign, and Milton sits at 57.9% going into the bowl game. UCF finished with a number 96 in the nation rushing offense, number 98 in first down offense. There was actually only 21 teams in the FBS that turned the ball over more. We didn't reach a 1,000-yard receiver. The last time that happened was in 2014 with Brashad Perryman. Traquan Smith, despite having 4 100-yard games, ends the regular season with 808 yards. Last time we had a 1,000-yard rusher on the season was in 2013 with Storm Johnson. The most yards in a game rushing on the ground was Adrian Killens with 87, and that was all in 1 run against Michigan. The longest pass on the season was for 72 yards by Tristan Payton. The deep ball there connecting with Traquan Smith for the touchdown. We did have a 500-yard game against FIU, and just remember, we bring back just about everybody on that offense and a lot of young guys, so we'll look for some improvement next year. Probably a bad stat here, but UCF punted for 372 more yards than our offense produced on the season. And talking about special teams, Caleb Houston had a great year. He knocked in a 70-yard punt and then also finished the season at 41.8 yards per punt. Very solid performance from him all year. Matthew Wright as well was 15 of 20 of kicking field goals, including converting 6 beyond 40 yards. Now, if we look at attendance, because fans, we always like to talk about it, UCF was up this year. We had 214,000 people pack Bright House Stadium, 180,000 in 2015, so quite a decent improvement, but still down from 2014 where we had 227,000, and in 2013 with our magical run we had 252,000. Hopefully we can break that 250 next year and show with Knight Nation how we can pack that stadium. Also an interesting note is Justin Holman will end his career 8th all-time in UCF history for passing yards. Take that for what it's worth. The most important stat of this season is +6. The amount of wins we had, and we're going bowling. Congratulations, Knights, and us fans. We get one more game. Thanks. Charge on.
All right, there you have it from John Swift. Those numbers are great. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff there that was exciting and good and positive and all that stuff. We didn't have that last year, so you saw the differences between this year and last year. I think we're on a positive forward step.
Except losing all of those defensive players that he mentioned. Jeez, I don't want to even think about that for 2017.
That's just, that's college football. That's, you have players for 4 years, maybe 5 if you're lucky, in extreme instances, maybe 6 years, but that's about it. And then they're gone, and you have to move on. So.
Doesn't it speak to something, though, that we've been talking about, Scott Frost being persistent, if not stubborn, on playing Mackenzie Milton and other freshmen? He sees what's happening ahead, and he needs to get that offense up to speed as quickly as possible. So they got a lot of reps this year, and as John points out, we hope to see a big improvement in the offense. Maybe we'll get a preview of that in the Cure Bowl. Maybe we'll see some of that growth that has occurred over the 12-game regular season show up in the bowl game.
That would be nice. I hope so. The offense has to get it together versus what they did the last few games. I mean, absolutely have to get it together, or we could get embarrassed by a Sun Belt team.
Stop
and
it.
That would be very, very bad.
Going back to your
unacceptable.
Going back to your point on losing 7 defensive players next year. Obviously, this year it was always the defense keeping the offense in the game. Maybe next year it'll be the offense keeping the defense in the game, and then 2 years after Scott Frost's third season, it'll level out and just everything will be great.
I like that. Yeah. You know what, folks? Should weigh in on that take and should weigh in on crunching the numbers by taking our survey that we have posted all over the social
survey
media.
Is very important.
We're getting more and more responses to that survey. One positive that came in a couple days ago that they thought, you guys care enough to put this on. And I thought that was a nice one that people shared. And we talked a little bit about this one, someone saying sometimes as a negative, or things for improvement.
Right.
Sometimes you dwell too much on the negative people. Don't give them so much airtime.
Well, sometimes you have to address the negative people. That's all I have to say about that. But thank you very much for the comments, both positive and negative. It asks what you like and it asks what you dislike. So those are very, very valuable to us. You can go to our website, UCF-NightlinePodcast.com, or on Twitter at UCF_Nightline, and Facebook as well, UCF Knightline on Facebook. You please do that survey for us. It is a little long. I apologize for that.
The comments are most valuable.
Comments are most valuable, absolutely.
And I'd put out a request, if there are folks like Joe Burnett, Smoking Joe Burnett, that you want us to interview from years gone by, let us know. Let us know so we can reach out. Andrew is so good about hitting them up on Twitter and other social media.
Yeah.
Let us know who you want to hear from.
Also, if you know how to get a hold of somebody that maybe we don't, you can forward their Twitter handle or their phone number or whatever.
Or former players like Chris in Canada, who calls us from time to time on Knightline Live. We would love to hear from former players.
We would love to do that. And anything that we put out, please share on Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. Please, 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 please.
Let us know what you think.
Very important.
As things have been positive with this Cure Bowl announcement, also very positive is the way Johnny Dawkins' squad continues to put together wins. How about a little basketball news this podcast?
Unbelievable so far in the season. I am just absolutely amazed.
I don't know if you guys were watching on Saturday, but it was a great game against UMass. It's an ugly win, but Nick Banyard fadeaway 3 with 0.6 seconds left on the clock gave us the 65-62 victory over UMass as the Knights improved to 6-1, their only loss against possibly the best team in the nation, Villanova. And
it was a
10-point loss that we were in the game there. But in that game against UMass, Tank Effiani continued to put up a career-high 24 points. A few days before, UCF crushed Stetson 81-45, and this is the Knights' best start since the 2010-2011 season. That says a lot about first-year head coach Johnny Dawkins and the lack of depth we have on the team. Obviously, A.J. Davis coming back from his hand injury, that adds a lot to the offense. It allows Tank to come off the bench. It allows the players to rotate more. Chad Brown to have a little bit more playing time when A.J. needs to sit out. Things are going well for us, and I think it's going to be a little bit of a hiccup in the middle of the season because we are going to, I think, fatigue's going to catch up to us at one point, or at a certain point in the future. But right now, we're on a high wave.
To have your
only loss come from Villanova and you were within 10 points, that's
almost a win.
It's absolutely amazing for where we were last year to now. And there's obviously a big difference in coaching. We like Donnie Jones and all that stuff, but I don't feel that he got across to the players anywhere near what Johnny Dawkins is getting across to them right now. I mean, that has to be the only explanation.
I agree with that, because in the press conference after the Stetson game, B.J. Taylor said, "We're buying into Johnny's system." And I think that's one of the most important things for these players this year, to believe in their first-year head coach, and the first-year head coach believe in their players, sort of like what we saw with football this season with Scott Frost.
Good point.
You've got to buy in. I mean, if you don't buy into what the coach is selling, then, it's not going to work, period. So that's a good observation, though.
A couple of home games coming up, and conference play later in the month. So that's when things are really going to heat up, and we'll see all of what you've been talking about here, how it plays out when we get into the heart of conference play. So off to a good start for men's basketball.
Absolutely.
We're going to talk about women's basketball just ahead as well, and another W for them. But coming up next, you know him as Smokin' Joe Burnett, Calgary Stampeder, former UCF Knight. Now, while his team, the Stampeders, did not win the CFL Grey Cup, he was good enough to stop by and talk with us on Knightline. He's coming up, plus we're sorting out all of the bowl game action for the Americans. Hang with us.
There are so many ways to connect with Knightline. You can like us on Facebook at Knightline Podcast, or follow us on Twitter at UCF_Knightline. Check out our website at www.ucfknightlinepodcast.com for recruit spotlights, archived episodes, and more. Or, of course, you can always call us at 407-401-9184. That's 407-401-9184. Listen whenever and wherever you are on YouTube, SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, or tune in. Go Knights and charge on!
Please welcome one of the most loved former UCF players and now CFL defensive back, Joe Burnett. Joe, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Just got back from Canada and Florida now, enjoying the sun.
Yeah, it's probably a little warmer down here than in Calgary, right?
No question. On my way out, it was snow everywhere, so glad I escaped that.
All right, well, unfortunately, we're talking to you after the Grey Cup. We wanted to talk to you before that, but it just didn't work out. So, unfortunately, the other night you played in the Grey Cup, the equivalent of the NFL's Super Bowl, and it's a big, big deal in Canada. I used to live in Canada for a little while, so I understand fully how big of a deal it is up in Canada. You guys didn't come out on the best side of that Grey Cup. It was an epic game, though, from what I've heard. I watched a little bit of it, but I did not see the end, unfortunately. It was a 39-33 overtime loss to the Ottawa Redblacks. Tell us a little bit about playing in the Grey Cup and what that means, because you've had a kind of a storied career in the CFL.
You're right, absolutely. Just like you said, it's their Super Bowl. The Grey Cup for them is just like the Super Bowl for us. And it's a huge game, but coming off a win streak of, 15 games in a row, being almost perfect all year, to going into that game and losing to the Red Blacks, I can't take anything from those guys. They came out and jumped on us. But it was one of those games where, jam-packed in the stadium, loud. One of those exciting feelings like old CFL or UCF conference game, one of those ones you just get up and licking your chops for or whatnot. And but the Grey Cup is everything, and I came up short this year. Been like one game away four times in my career in the CFL and finally got over that hump to lose it. So bitter taste in my mouth.
Well, with the season that you guys had, you said 15 wins in a row. There's no reason why y'all can't be back there next year, so I hope it works out and you get a second chance at that for sure. You've had a pretty successful run in the CFL. Tell us about the game of Canadian football and explain the differences a little bit if some of the UCF fans may not know about the CFL. It's quite a different game.
Huge different game. As far as the rules aspect of the game, it's a little bit more like rugby, but not so much. It's 12 men on the field, instead of 11 like versus the U.S., and then the field is much bigger. Goal posts are at the front of the goal line. I think the field is like 110 yards, 120 yards from end zone to end zone. So it's a lot more space. think the wide receivers, they get to do a lot more motion instead of being stationary like wide receivers in the U.S., so they automatically get a running start at DBs or whatnot. And
that's kind of like the Arena Football League here, where the receivers can take off a little bit before the ball is snapped. So that's definitely interesting. And then there's the third down, right?
Yeah, it's only 3 downs in the lead instead of 4. So it's first, second down, and then if you don't get the first down, then you're punting on third down versus punting on fourth down in the U.S.
What was it like for you to go up there after playing American football for your entire life and then having to make those kind of big differences? I was going to say subtle, but they're not subtle differences. Those are big differences.
Yeah, it's a huge difference. I mean, for me, just adjusting to the ball thrown, or the trajectory of the ball. Like quarterbacks, they lob it more instead of more on a straight rope like it is in the States. So when you break on the ball, you're thinking you got it, and that ball's still drifting right over your head, you know. So that was a big adjustment for me playing DB or whatnot. And punt returner, you know, you get a 5-yard radius in the CFL, so guys can't come in within 5 yards before you touch the ball. So that was a big plus as a punt returner, and being able to gain a lot of yards when I was playing with Edmonton, and I did a little bit in Calgary, you know, for me. But the quick turnaround, that was the huge adjustment, because you go on the sideline, you get a drink of water, and you right back up instead of getting that break. Real fast speed game over there, and it's a passing lead. It's all pretty much passing.
I was looking back at your stats over the years in the CFL, and you've done pretty good with interceptions and stuff like that. You've definitely not had a bad career in the CFL.
Right. I've been playing pretty well since I came in. I think I led the league my first year in the interceptions, and I think my biggest adjustment was just opportunity. You know, going over there, Team Edmonton, they really wanted me, gave me the opportunity to play. You know, and from that point, it was, you know, doing what I naturally do, you know, all my career or whatnot, and that's trying to make plays, trying to be a playmaker.
You're getting up there in age for a football player. You got a few more years left in you?
I think I got a few more years, but the distance is just killing me and my family. I just started my family now, and you know, that distance being 6 months is 6 months out of the year, you know, that season up there. So I'm in the States for 6 months and then in Canada for 6 months. Pretty cool lifestyle, but the traveling with the family and everything, you know, it's kind of breaking my back. But we'll see how longer I got. The body's starting to talk to me at age 30 now.
Right, yeah. Congratulations, by the way. You just had a baby fairly recently, right?
Yes, I just had a girl, my second. Got a boy and a girl now, and I think we're done for a while.
Well, congratulations with that. Have you been able to keep up with UCF this season at all?
I made it to one game when they played against Tulane, but I haven't been able to as much as I wish I could have. But being in Canada, they don't air most of the games and stuff like that. Their network is TSN, so, you know, other than the internet, I didn't get to watch many games or whatnot. But hats off to those guys. I talked to Kevin Smith last night, actually, and he was telling me about updating me with the season and stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. So you played for George O'Leary, and, you know, we talk to Kyle every week, and we've heard lots of, you know, inside stories about George O'Leary and stuff like that. He just recently got a statue outside of the stadium. I don't know if you know that. They built a statue of him. It's a bronze statue. It sits right outside of the Roth Tower entrance there. What do you think about him getting a statue at Bright House Network Stadium?
You know, I think that's pretty cool. I mean, that's a huge honor, and I think that's pretty cool. I mean, what were they honoring him for? Just a 10-year?
Yeah, just, you know, being the coach for 10 years and bringing the program along to where it is today, I guess, you know. Hats
off to George O'Leary. I am extremely proud of what he did with the program and stuff like that, turning it around, you know, and making it what it was.
What do you think about the cultural changes of the program at UCF?
I like it. I definitely like it. I think that's how you get guys, or young guys, to play with you, and the talent that they have recruited at UCF. Those guys are like they're buying in, and you know, still young and raw, still got long ways to go, but they're buying in and they're playing for coach, and that's exactly what you want in the atmosphere around you. You know, players that's going to come in and play for you. So if they have something they can look at and own up to, you know, with the names behind, the UC Fast and stuff like that they're promoting. I think that's awesome, in my opinion. I think it's awesome.
Awesome.
For the program.
So, Joe, what's your best memory from your time at UCF?
It had to be the punt return that I had against Tulsa in the conference championship game when I ran one back and just before half, bringing us within, I think, a couple points from Tulsa at that time. But that probably was the best one in the stadium, just going nuts, just rocking after that punt return against Tulsa.
Yeah, speaking of punt returns, I was going through, or kickoff return, I can't remember which one it was, but I was going through some old film that I found on YouTube the other day of you playing at UCF, and one of the strangest, most ridiculous calls in all of college football happened with you touching the ball and an inadvertent whistle.
The inverted whistle, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. You came over to the sideline and was just like, you were freaking out because I guess that they thought that you signaled for, the fair catch, and you absolutely did not, and you ran it back for a touchdown. Tell us all about that whole situation.
Right. I can't remember who we were playing myself, but it was one where I saw the coverage. The kicker had kicked a short kick, and the coverage was basically outran the kick. So I knew in my head if I held my hands down as long as possible, they probably would hit me or whatnot, or they would stop and not think that I was going to catch the ball. So I did just that. I caught the ball, and the ref surely thought I was just going to throw my hand in the air as well. So I guess I psyched him out too. And they ended up blowing the whistle. I caught the ball and was running down the sideline. But I was furious that, we couldn't challenge it. We couldn't take it back because it took a big play off the scoreboard for me. And, I was upset about that one. But that play there, that stuck in my head as well because it was a huge play at the time.
Right. I don't know about the rules, the current rules, if they could, if you could challenge that or not in college football now. But it definitely, when they replayed it on the TV, it was obvious that you did not call a fair catch, and that should have been an absolute touchdown.
Right.
So.
You're right. I think I psyched too many people out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the craziest football plays that I've ever seen in the game. So
you're right.
I hate to bring that up, but I wanted to ask you about it. I guess really one of my final questions is, what's your advice to a graduating player that wants to go to the CFL or the NFL? My
advice to anyone after college that's trying to get to the next level is, stick to that dream. Don't give up because it's anything is possible. The sky's the limit, and you only need one person to trust in you or see you work out. So follow your dream, keep pushing, keep going. That's a little hashtag that I like to say, keep going, and you can make it. You can get there, definitely.
Are you familiar with Shaquem Griffin that plays for UCF now?
Yes. I was just reading a little clip on him.
The Defensive Player of the Year.
Yes, I was. We were watching in one of the games. Who were they playing? I forget who they were playing at the time, but it was before the big game he had with all the forced fumbles and all the tackles he made and whatnot, the interception. But me and a couple of guys from mine in the CFL, we're looking at the game. We was blown by it because that was our first time. That was my first time and their first time seeing it as well. But he was having a good game, and next thing you know, we turned around. That's when he had the big game with all the interceptions and the forced fumble and stuff like that. And we all tweeted each other. It was like, look at your boy. We were just talking about him with one hand, balling out there.
He's absolutely an incredible player, and not only an incredible football player, but he's an inspiration to a lot of people. And, I'm proud to have him on the UCF team, period, and unfortunately he's going to be a redshirt senior, so he's got one more year, but we would love to have him around. He's just a monster out there. Nothing holds this guy back. I mean, he just plows over people. I mean, I would not want to be tackled by him. I would not. So,
which is awesome. I gotta get up there and meet him.
Absolutely. Do you keep in touch with the other UCF alumni?
Not many. Everybody pretty much, other than social media, we all talk on that or whatnot. Kevin Smith, we're probably the closest who actually hang out. And, like I said, I just spoke with him yesterday. He called me, seeing if I made it in town or whatnot. So other than social media, not on a one-on-one connection or personally, no.
Do you ever see Quincy McDuffie by chance?
Yes, I do. I see him up in the CFL. We talk here and there.
Yeah, he's been doing fairly well as well up there. He's had a little rough go of it, but I think that he's made his mark.
Yeah, I think he has as well. You know, he's created himself to be a big-time returner in his league, definitely, and coming along offensively as well, too.
Awesome.
You know,
well, Joe, thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate it. We would love to talk to you again at some point. Have a great next season, and we really appreciate it.
No problem, anytime. Thank you.
Hello, Knight Nation. This is Tim Baker with East Coast Paddle, owner, operator, and fellow UCF alum. East Coast Paddle is located in Orlando's favorite beach town of New Smyrna Beach. East Coast Paddle is rated by TripAdvisor as the #1 rated water tour activity in New Smyrna. We are most known for our boat-assisted paddleboard eco tours. This is a 2-hour dock-to-dock experience like none other on the island. You'll paddle with manatees, dolphins, and have a chance to see many of the 4,000 species that inhabit our lagoon system. So take professional pictures throughout the tour that are sent directly to your email at no additional charge. This is not all we have to offer. Traditional paddleboard rentals delivered to your location, paddle fit classes, and several fishing options. Please reach out to us at 386-402-8585 or visit us at our website, eastcoastpaddle.com, or follow us on Facebook at East Coast Paddle or Instagram at ECPSUP.
This is Alan Gooch, Executive Director of the Orlando Sports Foundation, the Auto Nation Cure Bowl presented by Florida Hospital, and you're listening to Knightline. You got to listen to Knightline. This is where you're going to get all your night information.
Now, back to Knightline with Andrew and Trace.
All right, and Jason.
Yes.
So we had to get that in there. But, yeah, you guys need to sign up for this East Coast Paddle thing. He's giving away a $110 value boat-assisted paddleboard eco tour for 2. Part of his support of the Knightline podcast, and we greatly appreciate that. Please enter to win. Just click on the contest entry form on the left of our website. And that, again, is UCFNightlinePodcast.com. And we're going to give that away on January 8th, which will be our end-of-the-season spectacular.
Like how you
on
say
YouTube. End-of-the-season spectacular on YouTube at 7 p.m. And it's going to be like a video thing like we did last year for the end-of-the-season show. It was not a spectacular.
It was not a spectacular.
This will be, I promise you, this will be quite spectacular.
Jason's caught on very quickly.
Or an extravaganza, whichever. We could call it the extravaganza or...
No, I think spectacular is catching on.
The spectacular show.
Quick aside, heard Alan Gooch referencing Listen to Knightline, spoke with him at the Cure Bowl announcement ceremony, press conference today, and he said that, he really does not want to have to present the Cure Bowl trophy to Arkansas State in the old Citrus Bowl as a long-time UCF Knight. That would be difficult for him.
Absolutely.
So even more impetus for UCF to win that game. How about the American Championship game, by the way? Temple rolled all over Navy. I was really surprised that it was so easy, and you think about how close we came to beating Temple.
However,
I imagine that may come up in the end-of-season spectacular.
Yeah, we should have beat Temple big time, but boy, did they ever take it. Like you said, they took it to Navy, and I didn't think that was going to happen.
No,
so.
not quite like that.
It was kind of ironic. A lot of the fans on Twitter pointed out, because of that last-second loss to Temple, we kept USF out of the American
that's one
Conference
good thing.
game. So there's a little bit of positive. I know what
that's
you
good.
mean, but
yeah, that's great.
There is one more game left in the season, and of course, with Navy losing, it didn't quite have as much drama now. But Army-Navy, which is always, if you like college football, you like watching all of that spectacle take place. That's coming up Saturday, December 10th, 3 o'clock on CBS. And get this, both service academies are bowl-bound. Army has 6 wins.
Wow.
So Army's going to a bowl.
I think that's the first time in a while.
Yeah, been
for
a
them.
long time. Listen to the bowl announcements now that involve the American schools, and tell me as you listen to these whether you think we have a good chance. I think we have a good chance in every one of these games. Las Vegas Bowl, really good matchup here. Houston versus San Diego State of the Mountain West. That's December 17th. Earlier in the afternoon before the UCF game. I think that's a good opportunity to win that game.
Houston should be able to win that.
The Miami Beach Bowl, where for a moment at least we thought we might go, that'll be Tulsa versus Central Michigan in the MAC. We saw Tulsa Tulsa's high flying.
Yeah.
Central Michigan's not bad, but
I like our chances in this game as well, the American. Boca Raton Bowl, December 20th, Memphis versus Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky won Conference USA. They outscored their opponent. They had put up 58 points Saturday to win Conference USA.
That could be a difficult game. But Memphis, is a high-scoring offense as well.
And they beat Houston the day after Thanksgiving, like 48-44 or something like that. So that game, I think we have a chance. Birmingham Bowl is where the Cows go. They're going to play South Carolina of the SEC. Will Muschamp's first season with South Carolina. But South Florida's ranked what now? They're up on your board. They're 25th ranked in one of the polls?
Maybe something like that.
Yeah, 25th. So, I don't...
In one poll they are. In the AP poll they are. Not in the playoff rankings. The playoff rankings
I think they have a chance to win this game.
The playoff rankings actually end with Temple and Navy.
24
Temple being
25?
24, Navy being 25, So
speaking of Navy, going to the Armed Forces Bowl December 23 against Louisiana Tech of Conference USA. So I like the chances there as well. And then Military Bowl December 27th will be Temple against Wake Forest of the ACC.
That could be interesting.
I think that
I don't know
part
much
of that
about...
push to be a P6, being that Power 6 that AAC Commissioner Mike Oresco keeps saying. You've got to win these head-to-head matchups, and there's a couple opportunities here against Group of 5 conferences below the American, but a couple of playing up with Wake Forest and South Carolina.
I hope that South Carolina just destroys the Bulls, personally.
I tend to.
I mean, that's not good for the American, but it's good for us. It's good for UCF.
I think the American definitely can come out of those games with a winning record, whether it's 1 or 2 losses. It is important for the Power 6, like you just mentioned.
Yeah. Take a look at your Knightline planner. It is that time of year. Not much on the planner. Pair of home basketball games dot the schedule. Saturday, December 10th at CFE Arena. First tip for the women versus Gardner-Webb at 2. The men, 5 o'clock tip against Maryland Eastern Shore. So just 2 games on the schedule as the holiday season approaches.
Trace, what happened in the NFL with our UCF Knights?
Rashad Perryman with a big 53-yard touchdown in the Ravens' big win over Miami, and he was clocked at 20.68 miles per hour on that touchdown.
Really, they were doing this
that's a little faster than you
now?
run.
They're actually got a gun out there, like a little radar.
Latavius Murray scored. Oakland rallied to beat Buffalo, and Blake Bortles lost again.
Shocking.
They're now 2-10. And did you see the rumored coach? Because Gus Bradley's done for.
No,
bringing back Tom Coughlin.
Really,
the rumored name.
Isn't he like 85 or something?
He might be.
Yeah,
he's older.
I mean, like he's gonna need a walker.
Seasoned, experienced.
He'll be like Joe Pa was the last few years on the golf cart or something.
Successful in Jacksonville, though.
Tommy Tuberville needs a job.
Yeah, he was dead coach walking when he came to Orlando a couple of weeks ago. Remember,
Helfrich needs a job.
Whenever your coach starts yelling at the fans to get a job,
you need a job.
Yeah, the coach is done for.
That's funny because he's the one that needs a job.
He's the one that needs a job.
That's awesome.
That guy.
That is awesome.
That fan's probably going, yeah, right.
And now, news and notes from the world of UCF sports. Women's basketball beat Bethune-Cookman Sunday 70-43. A few days earlier, the Knights lost by 1 at Buffalo 66-65. UCF is now 7-2.
Kudos to a pair of volleyball players. Redshirt junior Kia Bright named a unanimous selection to the Americans' first team all-conference, while senior Jayla Hervey also earned a spot on that first team.
Men's tennis director John Roddick names redshirt senior Harrison Richmond the team captain. Richmond comes to the Knights after 4 years at Virginia.
Junior women's soccer player Sega Fredrickson, the Americans' co-defensive player of the year, has been named to the National Soccer Coaches Association of America's Division I All-Region team.
And finally, baseball releases its 37-game home schedule for the 2017 season, which features 6 games with the Cows, as well as home games with Florida, Florida State, Miami, FAU, North Florida, Jacksonville, and Bethune-Cookman. First up, Siena comes to UCF for a 3-game series beginning February 17th.
No pressure on new head coach Greg Lovelady, but women's basketball with a new coach is off to a great start. Men's basketball with a new head coach is off to a great start. Scott Frost led UCF from 0 wins to a bowl game. No pressure Coach Lovelady in that 37-game home schedule, which begins February 17th.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm excited for, him to have his chance to shine as well. Everybody else has. So, we got all kinds of stuff coming up. You're really going to have to start looking for the Knightline Nows. They're exclusively on YouTube. And we're going to have a lot of bowl coverage and all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah, since we got back from that press conference, I've already been firing off a bunch of emails trying to line up good guests that we'll have on for the bowl preview edition of the Knightline podcast a week from now. And, of course, guests that we get and other information we'll sprinkle into Knightline Now.
All right, that'll do it. This has been episode number 91. I'm Andrew Phegley.
I'm Trace Trylko. He's
the intern, Jason.
Go Knights!
Charge on.
UCF, charge on to the field. With our spirits, we'll never yield. Black and